Welcome to the Key to Growth podcast, Home Services Marketing Unlocked, with me, your host, Jen McKee. Every week, I sit down with top marketers in the trades, from the brains behind $100 million companies to those scaling from 1 to 3, even to 10 million, breaking down exactly how they got where they are and uncover the secret to their success. If you're ready to grow your business and get real, actionable insights, you're in the right place. Let's unlock the key to your marketing success starting now.
Keyheart Marketing specializes in Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube to build your brand awareness or drive leads using social media ads. If you're ready to elevate your social media, go to keyheartmarketing.com or follow us on social media. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Key to Growth podcast. I'm your host, Jen McKee, and today I am super excited about our guest, who, if you've been to any event recently, you may have seen him there. Usually he's with his son. Sometimes in his office, he's with his dog. But today I have Patrick Lange from Business Modification Group. Patrick, if people don't know who you are, please introduce yourself.
Absolutely, Jen. Thank you so much for having me on. It's great to see you again, and I'm thrilled to be here. So my name is Patrick Lange. My company is Business Modification Group, and we specialize in the sale of acquisition of heating and air and plumbing companies nationwide. So we help people who are ready to retire move on to the next chapter of their life, as well as people who are looking to grow through acquisitions. We help them find more companies to buy.
Yeah. So what's the difference between you and private equity?
So private equity is actually the buyer. They're the ones buying the company and going to run them. We are the broker. We're the middleman, for lack of a better term. So we work often with sellers, help them determine the value of their business, and go to market and find buyers. We do a lot of business with a lot of smaller companies by industry standards, right? Companies doing less than $5 million in sales. And it's a different approach going to market. So we help them go to market, vet buyers, find buyers, use the right fit for them to take over their legacy, and help them with the transaction.
Awesome. So how did you even get started in working with HVAC businesses?
Crazy long story, but I'll try to be short. So I've been a broker for a number of years. It's probably been 9 years ago now. I bought a heating and air company. And,
nice.
Yeah, and so ran it for 2 years.
You have experience in this.
I didn't belong running a heating and air company, so I went to go sell it. And we were a small company, right? As I mentioned, doing under $5 million in sales, using that as a barometer. And when I went to market and when I went to go sell it, I couldn't find a lot of useful information. And I thought, wow, as a broker, if I can't find accurate information, what's the guy or a girl that's been in the truck the last 20 years doing? And so I found they were selling all over the place, all different multiples. So my son and daughter-in-law actually bought my heating and air company. They run it today. And so that was a little over 6 years ago now. And when they were buying me out, I decided, well, I'm going to see if I can help. It started with just heating and air, and we've since added plumbing and electric, but see if I can help heating and air owners sell their business. And we have been fortunate. As of last week, we sold our 171st company in the last 6 years. We've been blessed to help a lot of people.
Amazing. Amazing. And so if someone is thinking about selling, where are they typically at in life? Like, is it they're retiring? Is it they're moving on to another career and they're tired of it? Like, are we selling businesses that are like, I can't take it anymore? Like, please get this away from me. Or this is like, I love this business and it's a beautiful baby and I don't want this one. I'm going to do something else. Or like, what do you see?
Yeah, a combination of everything. And we sell a lot of companies that have been in business 30 years, right? 30 years ago, guy didn't like his boss, got a license, went on his own, working from the basement of their house. And next thing you know, they're 30 years in business and taking care of a lot of people, employed a lot of people. We have others that get burnt out, right? As you and I both know, being self-employed is not always a lot of fun. And and some people try to do too much too often and get burnt out. Others, unfortunately, it's because of events happening, right? Illnesses, divorces,
right.
those types of things.
Yeah.
And so,
Or like maybe somebody passes away and then the spouse has the company and doesn't know what to do with it.
correct. Yeah. So it's a little bit of everything, but the bulk of what we do is typically retirement.
I really love the reason I brought that up is because I want, people listening. I know that somebody might be listening to this and thinking like, well, this isn't going to apply to me. Like, there's nothing about this conversation that I could get anything out of. And we're going to talk about a lot of things in this conversation, but I think that it's important to know what options are available as a business owner, because even like you said, for you or I, like even knowing how to know if my business is even sellable, I think that's kind of where I want to start. Before we get into, we'll talk about how to improve your business value. I also want to talk about acquisition as a growth strategy. But first, I want to talk about like how do I know if my business is sellable, or can you sell pretty much anything? It's just not going to be worth much. Like, what does that kind of look like?
Yeah, so typically you can sell almost anything, right, for any price. The smaller the company it is, the more owner involvement there is, the less the business is worth. I have a YouTube channel and one of my most watched videos, and I say it as a joke, and it's my way of coping. It's called Your Baby's Ugly. And so you were talking about, their business being this pretty baby that's theirs. And unfortunately, I've sat way too many kitchen tables with 60 and 70-year-old people and say, hey, you've done it wrong the last 30 years. Right. And so most people don't know, and they don't know who to ask. And so as part of our way of giving back, we do free valuations. There's other brokers that do it too, so I'm not tooting my own horn, but we do free valuations for anyone that wants to know what their business is worth today, whether they want to sell this year, next year, 20 years from now. To me, I think it's important to know what it's worth, because most of my clients, their business is their biggest asset. And
Yeah.
most of my clients have never sold a business, so they don't know what to do or who to talk to. And often they're asking the person who's trying to buy them, and that's not the person to be asking what your business is
Right.
worth. So so my
Yeah.
my advice and my belief is you should always know what it's worth. You should always be checking on what it's worth. That way, if you ever have to sell, right? And I've had too many scenarios where a husband or a wife has called me and said, "Hey, my husband passed away yesterday. We've got this business. What do I do?" Or I've been diagnosed with this horrible illness. What do I do? And they didn't plan on selling. And so now it's scrambling where if you know what it's worth and you have a plan to maximize its value, if that ever happens to you, you're in a position to make it happen. And the reality is a business that's worth more money is much easier to run, right? You have the staff in place and the marketing in place and the systems in place, all of those things. It's not on you as the owner, and it's a much more fun process to be in.
I have a friend, Stephanie Allen. Are you familiar with her? She she talks a lot about building it to keep it, and that's really what kind of like what you're talking about is that whether you plan it to exit your business at any point, if you build something that's worth it selling, if you build something that's worth exiting, it's probably going to be a great asset for you in general to keep, because that usually means you're not very involved, right?
Absolutely, and that's one of the keys. I joke at when I'm given opportunities to speak is no buyer calls me and says, "Hey, I'd love to buy a business where I can work in the field for 15 hours a day and then go home and do paperwork for 5 hours." Right? That I never get that phone call. They're always calling me saying, "Hey, I want a business that's got a manager in place or a team in place or a staff in place." So if you put yourself in a buyer's shoes, would you buy your business? Right? Or do you even have a business? Many people we meet with don't even have a business. They have a high paying job, and they're slaves to that job because you're working in it 24 hours a day, and that doesn't have a lot of value.
Okay, so let's talk about how to grow the value of your business. So, things that you can do, and we'll kind of like get into them a little bit more. But I think that everybody listening and all of these things that are probably going to at some point have to improve your revenue, improve your profit. Like those are things that make your business more valuable in general. So, what are some things that whether you plan to sell or not, because at some point you're exiting and somebody's going to have to do something with your business, whether you're not here anymore or you don't want the business to just die, right? That's like the worst thing. So, what
Absolutely,
are
and it
some things
happens
that we
too
can
often.
do to increase the value?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's really four things that I preach a lot. And the first thing is getting out of the van, right? Too many heating and air owners and plumbers are the best plumber, the best salesman, the best technician, the best installer, the best of everything. Every Google review when you see them online has their name in it. And so
Yeah.
So they're limiting their growth, right? You only can grow as much as what you can handle in the workforce. And so my advice is as quickly as you can start getting yourself out of the van and doing that through growing the business and hiring additional people. The second thing we preach is clean books and record. And many people treat their business like it's their personal checking account, right? It pays for their vacations, it pays for their grocery bills, and every meal is a business expense. And I understand creative accounting, but at the same point in time, if you're looking to sell, you need to be able to prove a profit. And we spend too much of our business lives trying to show we're not making any money and not
Right,
enough
right,
showing that
right.
we are making any money. The third thing is a business that's built on service and repair and replacement, right? And it's developing relationships with customers and clients and maintenance agreements. And so developing those relationships on a continuous basis, you're doing that through marketing. Obviously, you're part of that, a key part of that in everybody's business. But through a plan of growing that business through service, repair, replacement, and relationships. And then the fourth thing, it's instead of it being a to do, it's more of a not to do, and it's really staying away from new construction. And I say that, and I'm sure people listening are saying bad things about me right now, that they make a lot of money in new construction. But the reality is, quite often, new construction in the trades is a race to the bottom, right? General contractors wanting things done as cheaply as they can possibly done. You're at their timeline. You don't have enough control over it. And if things ever get bad, they're the first ones to stiff you on your bill. And so it creates a lot of bad opportunities for people. And so by doing those four things, and they sound simple and they are, but it doesn't mean it's easy to do, right? It's a simple
Yeah.
concept. You still have to do the work. Doing those four things, getting yourself out of the way, training staff, clean books and records, and part of that clean books and records are going to be systems and processes and a CRM system and all of those things from a clean books and records, service repair replacement, and focusing on maintenance agreements and then staying away from new construction. I promise you, your business will be worth more money next year than it is this year.
I love it. Okay, so we're going to dive into each one of them. So the first question that I have is like, if somebody is still in the van versus out. And I think that there's like all levels of this, right? I mean, so many of even the discovery calls that I have with businesses that are 3, 5, 7, 10 million can still be with the owner. So at some level, the owner is like still involved in a lot of the decision making, even in bigger businesses. Obviously, when we get to 10 and 15 million, I'm typically not talking to an owner anymore, or there's other people involved in the conversation. But when we're thinking about the value, how much could somebody increase their value by hiring that next person? Because I think that this is a big like game changer. And we always have to think about how we're replacing ourselves. And so if you're, because you mentioned a bunch of things, they're doing the repairs, maybe they're doing the sales, maybe they're doing the marketing, like it. And then if you're replacing somebody, now you have a salary that you're replacing yourself with, but then what else can you do and how does that impact the value? So like what would the value increase be from it, you being the person who's doing all these things? Cuz and then we can talk about like how that's going to better your life versus it putting somebody else in that position.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's look at just the mathematical side of it first from an extreme standpoint. If you're a single operator or it's you and a helper and you're answering the phone, you're running the service calls, you're doing the installs, that type of company will typically sell for 1.5 times the profitability, the net income.
The
If you
profitability,
do,
which like
yeah,
then we're talking about all the other things. So your profit might not be much right now at all.
correct, because it can't be, right? You only can do so much work in a day, right? At the end of the day, there's only so many jobs you can do and you're limited. So let's go to the exact opposite extreme, which you had mentioned, $10 million company. That $10 million company, once again, all service repair, replacement, staying away from construction, that has a team and staff in place, is typically going to sell for 10 times its profitability. So we're talking night and day difference, not just on the amount of money that it generates, but on the multiple of that amount of money that it generates. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. And so I think one thing that I want to touch on here too, because I know people listen to this podcast at all levels of their business, is like, even though it feels really scary to hire somebody to do this next thing. And so if you're just one guy in a truck, like, what is that next hire? Well, you just mentioned it. It's probably somebody to answer your phone and take care of your books and start, doing that side of it. And then once you let go of that, maybe you can get another truck and put somebody in there. And then, like you start seeing the path of releasing yourself from this high paying job, like you said, that you're a slave to, regardless if you're going to sell or not. This will help you move to that next level in business no matter what.
Absolutely. And I think for many people it's scary because they look at like everything has to be replaced today, right? And it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's a process, and you need to decide what generates the most money for you and what can be replicated. And the reality is, what can somebody do better? Most of the business owners we meet with are not great at marketing, right? They're not
Yeah.
great at doing the books. They're not great at answering the phone and dispatching, and that's not their strong point. When they fumble through it, when they could be paying somebody else to do it, freeing their time up to do a more profitable activity. And so, to me, I think it's baby steps and chunks. I read a great book, Dan Martell's. I think it's "Buy Back Your Time" or
Oh, I
Dan
was
Martell
thinking
has a
the
book.
exact same, but yeah.
Yeah, and I can't remember. Buy Back Your Time. I think it might be. Anyways, it's looking at those lower hanging things that you can give to somebody else that'll do a much better job because they like it, they're good at it. That's their strong point, and let them take care of it. Right at the end of the day, you only can focus on so many things. So focus on your highest profitable items, and at the end of the day, long term, the highest profitable item ends up being leading other people, right? Helping other people do the work, and being that leader. But it's not an overnight flip of the switch. It's a process to
Right.
go through.
No, that is such a good point, and I feel like hopefully that brings a little bit of clarity to that next step, and it kind of makes me go into the next one that you said, which is the clean books and records. So like you mentioned, I'm a business owner as well. The very first thing that I sourced out was my books. And at the time, the first bookkeeper that I hired was extremely inexpensive. She wasn't charging enough. But the thing is that that was something that I wasn't doing a good job keeping up with. It wasn't my forte. I didn't enjoy it. And I know I can think of people right now that I know that are one guy in a truck and are not invoicing people, just straight not even invoicing people for work. And so if that's you, like that has got to be the first thing that you give to someone else. We have a therapist that works with my children, and he struggles to invoice us. And he is like, "Oh, well, I love what I do and blah blah blah." If you love what you do, you need people to pay you because you won't be doing it for very long because you can't live without making money.
Right, 100%. And I see it in the trades every day. Right at the end,
Yeah.
what are you good at, right? And most people are not trained bookkeepers that are in the trades. That's just not what the background they come from. So give it to the person that does it. They can do it faster, cheaper than you can, and actually get it right. Because that's such an important part of the business. And if you're not getting paid, if you're not paying your bills, if you're not doing these things, you can't grow.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, I just thought of this other one. My family had somebody come and do replace in their lake the thing that the water pushes up against from the lake. I can't think of what it's called, that wall right there, like $40,000, the seawall, and they still haven't been invoiced from April. And I'm like, it makes me so sad because I know so many contractors do this. And you just like forget to invoice people, and not only is that terrible for you because you're not making the money that you done the work for and paid the products for, but it stresses out the customer because in the back of their head, they're like, I'm going to get this invoice still for however much, and I still haven't paid it. I put the money aside 4 months ago whenever they did the work, and now I don't even know if I still have that money. So it's really like I know, and I'm really like nailing in on this, and I know not everybody deals with this, but so many people struggle with good money mindset. And so you think that like, oh, well, they can't afford it or it's really expensive, or like, well, I don't want to invoice them now. I don't want to invoice them on a Sunday. I don't want to invoice them on Tuesday, like whatever. If you struggle with invoicing people, you need to automate it or give it to somebody else who is going to take that emotion out of it and just send the invoice because you have to get paid for the work that you're doing.
Well, and you're financing it for them for interest free, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you've paid your people, you've bought the equipment or whatever parts were needed. You paid your gas, your insurance, your everything else to get here. And now you're financing it for them for free interest. And I mean, it hurts cash flow. It's hard to make decisions. And that's the thing. That's the other part of it, looking more long term. If your books and records aren't accurate, you have no way to track what's working and what's not. You and I
Yeah.
had a conversation before we got on this podcast, and you talked about going back and looking at your customer, where your customers were acquired from. If you didn't have that data, you couldn't do that, right? At the end of the
Yeah.
day,
And then you
so
can't
many
make a
people
plan.
don't. Right. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so what's next? And where should I be spending my money? And what marketing is working and not? What about this? There's so many decisions that you need to make as a business owner. And if you're scrambling through a box of papers to try to figure it out, not a valuable use of your time.
And so then the next one, I know you talked about new construction, and I think that a lot of people that I talk to, if they started a new construction, have gotten out of it. You might see more of that just from where you're sitting, that people have found that to be consistent, right? But we do know that, and I've heard that one of the most valuable things that you can give a buyer is a membership, right? Like your customer list and a membership.
100%. Yeah, and I can tell you, I can look at somebody's tax returns and tell if they have a lot of memberships. I mean, they're automatically more profitable. They have better customer concentration. They spend less money on marketing. I'm not trying to take money out of your bank account, Jen, but
Yeah.
if they're able to develop those relationships, and so they're marketing to their existing customer base instead of a complete stranger, so they're getting a better return on their ad spend. There's all these other things that go with it. Maintenance agreements, in my opinion, are the answer to so many of the problems in the trades. Whether it's developing staff, right? You want to hire somebody new, but they're not quite where they need to be go on their own. What a great opportunity. Have them on maintenance agreements, let them train, let them develop, let them learn, let them talk to the customer, all these different things. So there's so much that comes with a maintenance program, and I can't preach enough about it.
I love that. That's such great advice. New construction, that was separate, but those are kind of similar. Okay, and so then the last note that I wrote on everything that you said is you did not, which I thought would be like the most important thing, and maybe it's just inherently in everything that we just talked about, but you didn't say like a book of SOPs, like having systems and processes in place, which I think is the value of the business, right?
Yeah, and that really follows back under the clean books and records, right? It's finding systems and processes for it all to run. And if a buyer can come in and look at your business, and you can say, "Hey, here's the way everything happens. Here's who does
Right.
what." Way more value. But once again, look at the tax return, it's gonna show as well, right? If you've got people with clearly defined roles, clearly defined jobs, following a specific system, higher customer concentration, better online reviews, better customer loyalty, all these things translate into that, and that's all part of that process.
I love that. Okay, well, those are all great things that whether you're looking to sell tomorrow or just hoping to have a great business, you could put in place. But the next thing that I wanted to talk about is acquisition as a growth strategy. So I feel like, I mean, there's definitely people that talk about this, but I think a lot of people don't talk about it because I've heard people kind of mumble under their breath that, like, oh, well, yeah, we actually acquired like two companies, and that's part of how we went from 3 million to 8 million in 1 year is not just strictly through marketing. It was actually through acquiring a customer list.
Yeah, it happens quite often, and this is gonna sound weird coming from somebody who sells companies for a living. Many people are not in a position to acquire a business, not financially, not because they can't do it financially, but they haven't fixed their own business, right? And I think sometimes buying a business, many people struggle. Let's use marketing because we're on the marketing podcast, right? Many people struggle with marketing and making the phone ring, and they think, well, I'm just going to buy another business and
Buy
it's
a
going to
phone
solve
number,
all my
right?
problems. Right? Yeah, and then the
Yeah.
phone's just going to ring, and everybody's going to love me, and there's no shoulder season, and things are never going to slow down, right? That's not real. And so my belief is you need to make sure you've got your business running well before you go out and buy another one. You need to have your SOPs. You need to have your systems in place. How are you going to hire? How are you going to retain? How are you going to train your people? When it slows down, or what does your annual marketing look like? Many people don't even have an annual marketing budget, much less a plan of where they're going to put that money out there. And so I really believe you need to make sure your business is doing well before you go buy another one, because the phone ringing more when you've got a bunch of problems in your business is going to magnify that problem. It's like having a bucket with a bunch of holes in it. I don't care how much more water you dump in, it's still going to go out. And so my belief is make sure you get your own house in order before you buy another. But then I think once you've got your house in order, it is a fantastic opportunity to grow your business, not only from a reputation standpoint, but a customer standpoint and an employee standpoint, right? Many of the buyers that we sell companies to are buying a business to get technicians. They're buying the technicians. That's so important.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to touch on. Like, what are these strategies for acquisition? So, what I can think of, I didn't even think of text because I'm a marketing person. So, I'm thinking of like the phone number or the past customers or, those assets that someone's going to reach out to. You're saying also the technicians, maybe the equipment. Like, what are all of the strategies for acquisition?
Yeah, the beauty of buying an existing business is you're buying the fleet, you're buying the equipment, you're buying the ladders, the vacuum pumps, the Freon, the filter. You're buying everything, and you're starting with the phone ringing on day one with the income that's already be generated out of the business. If you think of what does it take to get to $1 million in sales starting from zero, well, you've got to get a phone system. You've got to get ads. You've got to get a website. You've got to get a technician and get them a van and get them a uniform. And it goes on and on and on. And then you've got to make the sale and then you've got to do it. Well, when you're buying a company doing $1 million in sales, you're buying that all
Yeah.
on day one, often cheaper than you can go build it yourself, and certainly faster than you can go build it yourself. And so, and many times, many of the business we sell are run by incredible technicians who are not great business owners. And I'm not saying that to be rude, just they never had any business training. They've just done it their way. They've taken care of people. They've made great money, but they probably didn't maximize their business. And so there's often a lot of low hanging fruit. I can't tell you, Jen, how many people that I meet with, and I'll look at their tax return and say, you don't have anything for marketing, man. Yeah, we don't do any marketing. And I'm
Yeah, just
thinking,
word of mouth. People just refer us.
well, imagine what you could do if you actually spent a little money on marketing, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think they don't know what they don't know. And who am I to talk bad about somebody who's making $200,000 a year, make more than their family's made? They've employed people their entire life. They supported every little league team along the way. Good for them. They don't need to make $1
Yeah.
million a year. And I'm not here to say they have to, right? But I think for somebody looking at growing, those businesses provide a great opportunity that they can now market to the customer base and talk. Many of the older guys that we sell don't believe in maintenance agreements, thinks it's all smoke and mirrors. There's no reason to do it. Why am I going to lose money on a maintenance agreement? All these other things. Never once looking long term. They don't believe in training staff and developing staff and bringing new people in. And they got to buy another van. And why do I want to buy another van? All kind of things. And so I think there's often a pot of gold in those businesses to be able to continue to grow your existing business. But I think it starts by having your ducks in a row.
No, I think that that's really, really great advice. And just like I've said it now a couple of times, I'm a business owner too. And there's just so much that you learn as you go in how to, like every time we implement new systems or finish a new rock or something, I'm like, man, this is so much better than it was. Like you don't know what you don't know. And so I totally understand how important it would be to completely get all of your systems in place, understand your, org chart and who's responsible for what. And then when you have all of that in place, it would be very easy to nicely fold something like that into your business for a more rapid growth.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you're pouring gas on it, right? I mean, at the end of the day, that's the reality. You're pouring gas on your existing business, and I think there's incredible opportunities. And I look at so many. I sold so many companies that they were bought doing $1 million or $2 million a year, and within 12 months they doubled. So to go from
Yeah.
$2 to $4 million is just absolutely incredible. It's life changing dollar figures, but they're run by good operators who have good systems in place and understand what they're doing. And I think there's an opportunity for many to do that. The other caveat I would say, if you're looking at selling in the next year or two, I would probably stay away from acquisitions, right? Because when you buy a company, there's going to be an integration and everything's not going to go perfectly. And so if you sold too soon, you may not get all your money back. So my advice would be make sure you've got a runway that you're going to do it if you're going to grow. Make sure you've got a runway to get everything incorporated and firing on all cylinders just to make sure it's the right thing for you.
I love that. So good. You have given such great advice today and I think there's just been so much value in this. At the end of all of our episodes, we ask all of our guests the same question, which is you're on the Key to Growth podcast. So what would you say is the key to growth?
Put me on the spot.
I know.
I really think it's the mindset for growth is the most important part, in my opinion. Many people don't want to grow or don't really know they want to grow. And so I think making the decision to grow, and when you make the decisions, then they can seek out pros like you, Jen, about helping them execute and take it to the next level. Obviously, full disclaimer, you do my social media marketing for me, so I'm a client of yours because I'm not good at it, right? I want to grow my business, and that's not my specialty. And so,
Right.
and it is yours, and you guys do a much better job than I could. But it all goes back to me deciding that we want to grow. And I think, the key to growth is making sure that you're wanting to grow and you're willing to put forth the work, because it is work. At the end of the day, it's going to be some work to get to where you want to be, and making sure that you're really ready for the commitment, both time-wise, emotionally, and financially.
Absolutely. I love that. And it even goes back to what we said about Buy Back Your Time. That's a great book, and you shouldn't try to do it all your own. So if people want to find you, learn more about you, learn more about Business Modification Group, get their free valuation of their business, where could they go to find you?
Yeah, absolutely. Our website, so businessmodificationgroup.com, right on the front page, you can get a free valuation done. It's done by us, so it's not computer generated. We look at your answers, provide the feedback, and give those to you. Super active on social media, thanks to the help of Jen and her team. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. I have a YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel. I'm super excited. We just passed 2.5 million views on my YouTube channel.
Amazing.
And it's just me standing in my yard at my house talking about buying and selling heating and air and plumbing companies. So it's not real action packed, but we try to give a lot of good ideas. So any of those places, I'd love an opportunity to help out any way I can.
I love it so much. Thank you so much. This has been great. I so appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me, Jen. I had a wonderful time.